Good.
You're live.
We're live. Hey. Good afternoon, everybody. A few of us, 3, 4, 1 live here. I'm under scrutiny from our new team leader. Jill is here present, so really appreciate your warm acceptance and welcoming of her from this morning's announcement. A lot more coming on that. So let me give a little background. We early December, we did a town hall with about 50, our top 50 producers approximately, and basically said, we're going to reinvent KW Plano. What do you want? And we spent quite a discussion, and there were about 4 or 5 key points that came up. One was was Mastermind. It was actually top of the list, and it only came top of the list. It was one of the items listed. Then we did a survey monkey, a survey, and it came out as the #1 request, and it was going to be in different categories. And so this is our launch. We said, well, give us a month or two to get ready for this. And what categories do you want? And one of the categories was, we want to have masterminds for assistants, executive assistants, administrative assistants, buyer specialists who have like-minded interests in how they can better use best practices. There was another one for the groups, how they can mastermind together. But one of the most popular was the 5 to 10 million category. And what would that look like as far as how to get out of the 70-30, how to get up to, for today's purposes, 80%, and what would that look like? So let me talk about what 80% means, how you get there, and then we'll talk about some strategies and tactics. And by the way, the mastermind is not a one person talking. It's supposed to be all the minds coming together and sharing to get best practices. So I'm going to ask you at some point to unmute and talk to us or give your ideas or ask your questions. And we'll see how it goes. This is the first one. So welcome and let's get going. So let me first talk about our model and how you can get to 80% instead of 70-30 or 64-36 when you take the royalty into account. And how do you get there? What's that number look like? Well, let me just give you some math, and I've done the math for you. Is basically to get to 80. And let me just say this. Hold it. I've got a few sheets of paper here. And for example, there's 3 pages, and it's regular, single, small type, basically what I call it. And this whole first page and one person on the second page, that's 47 people are at 90% plus, all the way up to 98%. A lot of people, 93, 95, 96, 98. There's 1, 2, 3 at 98%. So once you break through the cap, and you start getting 100%, this is what is the blended rate. So you take that first 70-30 piece, and wherever you go with that, however high you go, will be up to your production level. The second page, these are all 80%ers. And and it goes into the third page, there's 52 people at 8% to 90%. So that's a lot of people. That's 100 people basically at 80 to 98%. There's another 40 or so that are in the 70 to 80% category. So that's a lot of people that achieve. That's the beauty of the cap, is when you can really soar when you get past that break point. And the break point for getting above 70%, going to 100%, your cap is right around, in volume numbers, it's about 2.2 million in volume, based on a 3% side, listing side or buy side. Now, we know that 3% is not real. Our average is about 2.6 or 2.7 because sometimes there's negotiations on fees, sometimes there's referral fees that come off of it. So it's not always a pure 3, but I'm going to be speaking from a pure 3%. So actually, it might be 2.3 or 2.4 million to get to the cap. Then you go to 100% past that. So, but since we're talking about 80%, let me tell you where that break point is based on 3%. 3%. So I've already done the calculation, and it is 100. Let me put it right there. 105,000 in GCI. Well, at 3%, that's 3.5 million. Okay. And so how do you calculate how do you get to 80%? How do you know that's 80%? Well, here's how it's calculated. So we're going to take 105,000, and let's just take it times 80%. Okay. Okay, that gets you 84,000. So this is taking 80% of that is 84,000. Well, what does that mean? So 84,000, how do I know that's 80%? If you take 84,000 divided by the gross GCI, I'm just checking my math here, that's going to get you to 80%. You want me to go through that again? We'll leave these sheets here for you. And one other thing to keep in mind is that 3.5 million at 3% will get you to 80. You're going to be at 80%. And everything above that, everything starts creeping up with every transaction after that. So what's that? How many homes is that? It's actually, and I think this is really encouraging, is at 3.5 million at 3%. Our average price is 380,000. So we just take the average, 380,000, okay, at 3% size, 3.5 million. That's 9.2 homes. Let's call it 9 or 10 homes is all it is. And you're not rated at 70. That's only like 6 homes. You're now breaking into the 80% plus category as you go up. So that's the quick math. Come see me one-on-one, but basically, when you figure out what your effective rate is, your average, you take your net dollars divided by your gross dollars. So you pay some to the market center, and you get some. You take your net, in this case 84,000, divided by the 105,000 gross that you generated, you see that you got 80%. I hope that makes sense. And what's interesting is this year we will do a lot more in our wealth building and financial planning classes about wealth building and knowing your business. I first came up with these sheets about 2 years ago when I realized people didn't know what their effective rate is. In this case, they're 80%. Some of these cases, they're 94%, or they didn't know. And I went around and kind of a blind test, I would ask people, I would say, Jill, do you know what your effective rate is? What's that mean? What's your commission split? Well, it's 70-30. No, but you're capped, right? Yeah, it's 70-30. I'm on a 70-30 split. No, you're on a 100% split, but you have to go through the cap to get to the 100% for the rest of the year. And so, yeah, everyone, and I asked 8 or 10 people, no one knew what their effective rate was. So at our next ALC meeting, I calculated each of the, or Angie calculated each of the ALC's effective rate. We just took a postcard and put a number on it, 83, 92, whatever it was. Everybody had pretty much a different number. They were all in the 80s and 90s. And on ALC, and just everybody, we had other handouts, we had the financials to go through. People were going like, what's this? And I said, does anybody know? Well, one person who I asked in the hall said, that's our effective split. So don't let people tell you, oh, you're with a 70-30 or a 64-36 company. You're with a 100% company. But there's a path we go through to get to the 100%. And in the year-end statistics, which we've shared this in a team meeting and in ALC, is we paid out on average 90.7%, almost 91% is our average pay. So when you get a lot of people up in the 90s, that really changes the bell curve or the graph, if you will, and pulls it way, way up. So don't be misled by friendly competitors trying to say, well, you're really a 70-30 company. We're really not. We're really not. It depends on where you go with your business. You get to 9.2 homes, 10 homes, you're at 80%. And then it just soars from there. And so that was a real enlightenment for our ALC. So that's just some background. So I think one of the things we might want to talk about today is, how do I get there? I'm new. As I look, I see a mix of experience and some very experienced and some new for those that are on this call. And so we will talk about that. I will say this, when I started in the business a long time ago, I tried everything. I was just, whatever they told me to do, I did. So I started, my first assignment was cold calling from a phone book, which you don't do that today, do not call. And my broker, I said, what do I do? He said, come here. He opened up, just opened it up, I said, start at the top left on this left-hand page, start calling people, just ask them if they know anybody that's thinking about buying or selling a home. And of course, so I got through that long column, then another long, I probably was a third of the way on the third column, finding somebody said, This was the training I had. And by the way, the first two columns I was getting, no, hang up, don't ever call me again. Well, I was getting a significant rejection. This is my first attempt at lead generation. Then it was called prospecting. So I get about a third of the way down the third column, and someone says, well, this is like heavenly. This isn't, we were just talking about that at breakfast. Yes, we want to sell our home. We were seriously, your call was meant to be. I was like, I didn't have a script. I didn't know what to say. So I had that blank cough and kind of stumbled through it and whatever. So that was my first method to lead generation. I'm going somewhere with this, so stay with it. And so a couple of days later, I said, what else can I do? My boss was named DJ. And he said, well, come with me. Come get in my car. And we got in his car. He said, give me about 15 minutes. We will meet in the front door. We'll go to my car. I said, okay. And so he drives me to the corner of Hillcrest and Cliffbrook. It's in a very fine area called Northwood Hills. I would call it definitely a luxury area, but he drew me right to that corner. I got a turn right, so I was now getting off on the northwest corner of Hillcrest and Cliffbrook. It's a long time ago. It's very clear in my mind due to the experience. And I said, what's up? He said, well, you're going to knock doors. I've never heard of knocking doors. And he said, here, and I didn't even have my business cards ready. He said, I took the 15 minutes to fill out about 15 or 20 of our blank cards. I just printed your name on it. We can be a little more professional than that, but that's what I would do whatever. I was just turned 22, I do whatever. And so I went to the first door at that corner, and I knocked, and he told me, he gave me, this is my first training I got. And he said, take half a step back, stand in an angle, and you offer the card with one hand. Now, in some cultures, you would use two hands. For us, here. And that's the closest to sales training I got at that point. So he said, this is what I did. I think it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever. It was in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. And he dropped me. He said, I'll be back in 2 hours. I'll be right here. I'll pick you up right here at 4 o'clock. So then he left. So I could sit on the curb or I could go knock doors. So I spent 2 hours going around and knocking doors. I probably got to 11 or 12 homes. Some people wanted to just talk there on the porch. I never got invited in, which is okay. That would have been felt funny to me, but anyway. And I got some, that's the ones that answered the door. There were some others that were no answers. So I spent 2 hours knocking doors with no real result or encouragement. And it's okay. And so let me just fast forward. So then we went through, he taught me expires, which at that point I was starting to realize these are people who are already mad at a realtor because they're home. So they're not going to be real happy with the next one they calls. That was the mindset I started to gain. And then I went to for sale owners. Well, these are people who, for some reason, they're not calling a realtor, but I'll do what I'm told. So I learned it. And I was pretty good at for sale owners. And I just kept going. I went through geographic farming. I went through sphere of influence. I tried it all. What I learned was, and this is maybe will help you get to your 80 or 90 or 95%, is don't try to do everything. And what I found out for my career, sales career, is what I liked doing the most, I was most successful at. Let that sink in. If you love what you do, you're going to be more successful at it. If you don't love it, it's going to show. It's like we got a little flashy miniature billboard on our head that says, I love what I'm doing, or I'm miserable. And you'll either attract people or you'll deflect them. And so my two areas, which most people's sphere of influence, that's people you know, it's family, friends, past customers and clients, once you get your places you worked before, it's your network, it's your holiday card or Christmas card list, if you will. You just start with that. That's the beginning of a sphere, and you want to build it over time. Really learn to master my sphere of influence, and I loved geographic farming. I found a system that worked for me in the very late 80s. Was that 30 years ago? Anyway, Willow Bend area near us was just beginning to get going, late 70s, early 80s. And so this is now by late 80s. And Old Shepherd Place was pretty built out. Willow Bend Lakes, certainly Willow Bend Country was not developed much at that point. And so I had been in a management career, and I decided to go back into sales. After running a large company in DFW, the Metroplex had about 14 offices. I was a general manager and all that kind of stuff. And I got bored. I said, I'm going to go back to sales. So the office I chose was down on Preston Road, just south of Frankfurt. Frankfurt, it was a very strong RE/MAX office. They were number 3 in the state of Texas. No, number 3 in the world of all the RE/MAXs. That's when RE/MAX was really roaring. And they were number 1 in the state of Texas. So there's a lot of famous names I could start dropping that you would recognize. So it's a big business for a while in that market, very strong. So I'm new to sales. I was known in the real estate community, but I was not known in the public. But I was a member of Glen Eagles, which is a part of the Villages of Willamette. It's right, it's the centerpiece. So I knew a lot of people in the area, but I didn't live in that area. And so I told somebody, I'm going to go geographically farm Willamette, what was there at the time. And everybody said, why would you do it? So all my encouragers said, why would you do that? That's not going to work. There's one agent named Joanna who dominates that area. She's got about 80 or 90% market share. Why would you go compete against that? In my head, my attitude was being contrarian and being entrepreneurial and competitive. I said, sounds to me like people need a choice. So I looked at it as an opportunity. Instead of 10 people with 10%, there's one with 80 or 90%. I saw that as an opportunity. So I started a geographic farming program, which is basically postcards. I sent 3 in the first 10 days to 2 weeks, and then I went to once a month, I think. Very simple, easy to read. And but the key was I tagged myself. I had my tagline was for those mailings and on my signs once I got going is it certainly made me is it was either your Willamette specialist. So I said, I'm a specialist in Willamette. This is before I sold a home in Willamette. And but your Willamette specialist, I knew all about it. Actually, I managed a company, got the listing on the model homes when it first opened in '79. 6 different builders, had our agents in there. I was a 28-year-old manager, feeling good about myself. And so, but I knew the area. So I was a specialist in Willamette. At the club, you're a Willamette specialist. After that third mailing, which is 10 days or 2 weeks since I sent one in another week, and then another week. So in 2 weeks, I had 3 mailings. I got 2 calls on that third mailing. They basically said, hey, Mike, this is Joe and Jenny, and we're at Mustang Drive, and we want to list, we're going to be moving, we want to list our home, and we know you're the Willamette specialist. Well, now I've got a listing and I'm the specialist, so I had 2. So that came and gone. So I said, I love this because I was getting success. I love sphere of influence, and I love building those relationships and building that, and I love geographic farming. And I let the others, I could do the others, but I didn't enjoy it. So why not do what you enjoy? So I'm not saying that's the right 2 things. Everybody, we got people in this market center that do any one of those very well. So it's what works for you. So my point with that is find your path. Find your love for what you want to do to push yourself through the cap and march on your way to 80%. So I just shared that. I tried it all, and I would say were there bumps and bruises in 48 years of doing this? Yeah, but it's worth it. So it's not always easy, but it's worth it if you stay on the path and stay focused. So this is how we calculate, right? You take your net, which is written to you, divided by what the gross was, that'll get you what your effective rate is. Pretty simple formula. All right. Email me or text me or just come visit your office if you want to pursue that further. So let me get back to the instead of me talking so much, it's not supposed to be a one-way conversation. Let's get back to the masterminding. So we got about 10 of you there, and we've got Jill here. So that's enough to have a conversation. So, hey, I recognize pretty much everybody. A couple of screens aren't video. Oh, here comes Pierce. There we go. Good. So somebody of you can get this party started. What do you want to talk about? This is the interactive part.
So, hey, Mike, this is Dee. Is the conversation just supposed to be about how we get to the 80% strategies that we're using to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm new. I was mostly coming here to learn from others that have gotten to that level. I know you and I, Mike, have talked before, and I'm still working full time. So for me, it's a little bit challenging, but I have focused on open houses. And just recently, I started calling expireds. that is a fun game. It kind of like, as you were going through talking about knocking on doors and how like, you know, even cold calling, some people hang up, don't answer at all. Calling expires is kind of like a lonely thing because you do not get a whole lot of answers. But every now and then you get an answer, and that could be something. So I'm learning to try to like just live with the pain and the monotony of like calling so many people and nobody answers, because nobody answers unknown calls. I know I don't answer them. If your name is not in my phone, I don't answer. So I know that so many people are like others. So I've tried to leave voicemails, and one of the things that I know it would be really helpful is leave video messages. I am finding a challenge with that because I have a Google Voice number, and so it won't let me send video messages. I've tried to Google a workaround. I haven't found it yet. So anyway, trying to stand out from like knowing that people don't answer their phones just like myself, and what would I respond to? You know, it would be an interesting voicemail or an interesting video message. So trying to work with that as well.
Thank you. I'm going to address, I hear two things there, so I'm going to address them in reverse order. You ended with the expired, so that was your second. First was open houses. I'll get back to that. Is on the expireds, I agree. We don't answer unknown or spam risk or telemarketer, the little things that show up. We don't do that. And I don't even do it on my cell phone. If it's somebody that knows me and they just, it's a number I haven't entered, they'll leave a message. Okay, and I'll get back. So I get that. So I think what you might consider is either going for, and I don't know if you're concentrating a geographic area, but you might come up with a nice door hanger, okay, and just consider taking a nice message professionally. We're about to have a great marketing department here, and either do that or pay some student a fee to go drop off 20 expired notices. There's not a lot of expireds out there right now, I don't think. If there's an expired out there, there's an issue. So I'm just being pretty, probably priced, but even with that. So, but anyway, I think it's a new day. So with all the tele screening and what they have, the phone may not be the best method for expireds. Yes, Jill.
Oh, I was going to say too, I think sometimes, because even door hangers I think are great, I also think that I've seen people have great success with doing handwritten notes.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people will open that up because they think it's an invitation, they think it's a thank you card, something like that. And you can introduce yourself, put your business card in that, and say a little something about yourself, and you know that you'd love to have a conversation with them. And I've seen people have success with that too.
Right. And for those like me, that's a great idea because it looks personalized. And then we're like, and if it comes in that format, whether it's on the door or mailed to them, by the time it's mailed, they may have taken other action. So I don't want to write 20 handwritten notes, but there are software programs out there that can mimic your handwriting and it looks professionally written. The main thing is it's coming in an envelope addressed and it's sealed. They don't know if that's from a friend, a family member, or an opportunity or whatever. So that's just a way to kind of break the ice. That's great, Jill. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. I know that I've done a couple like FSBO previews, and I would write them handwritten notes. So that, but that's because I met them face to face. But that's a good idea to do the expires as well. Just put it in the mail, you know, literally that day. That's a good point. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the question. Let me go back to open houses. So I was talking to Jay Biederman earlier today, and we were talking about open houses. I said, my original attitude, I'm making fun of myself here, so stay, is I said, I used to jokingly say, I do one open house a year because they don't work, and I just want to make sure I still don't like them. Haha. So today, if I were new, or what I would say to new people, do open houses. Here's why. It's a different customer than it used to be. We could have 20 people through an open house and 19 of them already have a realtor relationship back then. Them being 90s, 80s, 70s, even more recent than that. Today, with whatever, there's so much available to the public before they even go out to look, is they will know what's open. They will already look at the photos online. They're coming in there, and they're probably not attached. I think what we're experiencing is people that are coming to open houses usually haven't, and they're going to an open house without their agent because they want to choose when they engage with an agent. Okay, and so you're the training we'll do, you'll get ignited, another ongoing, is how to hold an open house, how to do the circle prospecting prior to, but they're probably not engaged. So if you can have a great interpersonal reaction with that person, that's where you'll get your business. Another thing I would share on open house is a good friend of mine who's currently still with another company, she'll be here eventually, who's a very, very top producer. When she started in the business, she just took off as a rookie. She started at Every Holiday. She's now at another firm in Frisco. She was started in Frisco. And I said, how have you had such a fast start with your career? It's just, you just not heard of it, now you're a star. And she said, I did it with open houses. Well, remember me, that I don't like them, they don't work, right? Well, I said, tell me more. And what she would do, even though she was just starting to get listed, she would go and preview, she's learning the market, she previewed a lot of the listings. And she would find listings that she got excited about, that she was loved. And here's the key, it's back to, you love what you do. She would go to that agent and somehow ask or beg or and to hold that house open because she liked it so much. Her belief was, and I think this is great wisdom, was if I like it, I will be more enthusiastic and energetic and positive about the house to anybody that comes in. Other than, just sign the sheet, I'll be here if you have any questions. You get charged, right? And so I think open houses are a great tactic. I don't think they have to be Saturday and Sunday afternoons. I think 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 is not a bad time of people coming home sometimes. And even, believe it or not, I hate to say it, this virtual world, that they're at the office or maybe spending a little time on Realtor.com or Zillow or KW.com or whatever. So I think that addresses expires and the open house. Great questions. Thank you for sharing. So who'll be next? What you got? I can't see the name. Is that Trevor? Open the, no, okay. Somebody, masterminds, we collectively talk here. Do you now know how to calculate your effective rate? You take what your portion was, which will be 1099 on, versus the gross, divided by the gross, and that'll get you your effective rate. And we have great successes, as I mentioned earlier. Comments, questions? Well, let me also say this, another key to, there's no commitment to stay a whole hour, so is a key to success. If you take my, there's a lot to do, if you take my millionaire mindset class, it used to be called How to Think About Money, Wealth Building, anyway, you have to give yourself permission to be successful. And by that, I mean, a lot of us may have come from backgrounds where there's almost implied guilt over money. That if people make too much money, they either did it, they either inherited it, they won the lottery, they did something unethical or illegal. There's just, those are dinner conversations. So a lot of us have scripts from when growing up at dinner or wherever from family that heavily influences our views of money and our success towards money. Throw that stuff away. That will constrain you. So you've got to get a love for money because what the good money can do, not what it can buy. I've got a lot of personal stories on that. I'll save them for a different event. But and some people are uncomfortable with money. If you're uncomfortable with money, you're going to have some self-limiting behaviors to go get more money. And I would say it's for the good it can do, not what it can buy. And I like nice things, but we lived in the same house for 48 years. I've got nice things, but I think I love, my greatest joy is giving and helping those who need that appropriate help, certain organizations that I'm passionate about, etc. So that drives me. I have what I need, and to be able to share it is a joy. And it's a path to get there. It's taken me a long time to get there. But at one point in the middle of my life, in the prime of my life, I was basically bankrupt. I'd gotten into a situation that was over I shouldn't have gotten in because the market fell off the table in the late 80s, and I was over my head, and other people dropped out. I was showing self liability, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. But it pretty much wiped me out. If I had filed for bankruptcy, the court would have approved it. But I refused to do that. I said, I'm going to fight back and so forth. And I had to pick up and go again. So we're all going to have bumps and bruises, but I had to reset my mindset at that point. Like, I'm good enough, I'm gonna do it again at a bigger level, and I'm gonna change people's lives. And once you give yourself permission to be successful at a high level, you will go there. Will you go there? Does that make sense? Give me some. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So, well, let me just say, other questions?
Mike, this is Linda Corgett. I have a question for you. Do you see, with the COVID shots being released more and more, do you see us being able to get more open houses because we'll be getting more listings? I mean, they've been very thin lately.
What was the first one? Did you do what to their own houses?
Will there be more for them to be able to get?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Because we don't have very many listings.
as far as hosting open houses because of COVID? Is that the question? Yeah.
Yes.
If I'm understanding the
Yeah.
question, we've done that from the beginning. Now, we were very careful. We've been ultra conservative in this market center with both our internal policies and our external coaching on particularly open houses. And so we went through the whole deal of having protocols of like only one family at a time. Others would have to wait, and they would once people started coming out. In some cases, we even said, if it's a family with children, let's say 2 young children, a couple, we would only let one of the couple in at a time. They had to take turns because we felt we didn't want children as children, because we all were running around touching things and stuff like that. And we would say, please don't. We had gloves available if they would take them. We had masks. We had booties, and we had every sanitizer you could imagine. So, and we had open house success. And so I think that's easing up a little bit, and it will continue once we get to the, what's it called, herd immunization, I think is the phrase. But we're going to still be very cautious, and we're still being cautious as market consider. But I think open houses are a great opportunity right now. Yeah, if there's one that's available that's not sold, somebody's going to come along. They might want it right there. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Great
It's
question.
kind of the way I saw it too, but I just wanted to confirm that because I've been talking to people. I talked to some people today, and same thing. They were a little afraid, but it's easing up, from what I can tell.
Well, I think it is. I think it is, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't still be cautious and careful on our own behavior. And so, if you want to do that, come see me. And this is going to sound so good to say, or come see Jill.
Yeah, right.
And we'll coach you through that.
Well,
So good to say, just go see Jill, right? So.
I think also on those open houses, I think that, you can set it up to where it makes your client comfortable as well. You can make sure every light is on. You can make sure all the closets are open already.
Drapes open.
So they're not touching, the shower curtains pulled back, all those things where where people come in, they can see everything. And hopefully they're not touching.
Yeah, and it's always, and the dialogue is, don't do this. You say, we will all respect this seller just as you would want to be respected if you had your own market. So you put it in a positive, and by the way, they'll like you for that. They'll respect you for that. So, great points. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
I have question. I don't know if it is good or not. But the thing which I want to ask, okay, when we are talking about the leads, so which everybody is looking for leads. Okay, I bought my house in December 2020. And when I look for redfin.com or realtor.com, when you scroll down to a house, so down we have to input our name, this and then, and somebody contact us. Okay, it's happened one time. Okay, I did that one because I love that house. I don't have any realtor, and I want to go and have a look at that house by tomorrow. And and someone appeared there, and they also text me immediate. Okay, my name is this and that, and I am going to meet you by tomorrow. How does it work with you? I say, okay, great. Okay, so 9 o'clock we will be at the property. I say, okay. And then when I meet some agent over there, and I talked there, are you from Redfin? You're working with Redfin or Realtor? They said, no, I have same like me and others. We are in your office. So yesterday I was looking at that one, and they are saying that, no, you have to be with your brokerage company. So this is only like a referral. So my question is this okay with your office or not? Or how it works? And do you have all these question and answers? So this is one of the best thing, because every people is looking out zero and this and that. At the end, when they fill up their name and everything, and someone next to that one can receive a message, and then he have to contact, and there is a communication, and there is a one major chance, oh, though we have to give some referral fee, maybe to Redfin, Zero, or someone, but still we are getting something instead getting nothing. I hope you understand all what I said.
Well, let me start with it, and Jill can add into this as well as far as leads. Leads are not clients. Leads just a maybe. It's a lead.
Yeah.
There's lead generation. There's lead nurturing, and there's lead capture, which can lead to client customer sale. And so there's different maturity, there's a cycle of life in leads, I guess is the way I would say it. The statistics on bought leads, paid leads is like, you get 3 to a conversation out of hundreds or something like that. So it's not a high probability of return that might move forward, but it is a source. And I think if you talk to Eddie in the office here, now that he's coming back in, maybe talk to Ivan about, he's starting a coaching program on lead generation through technology. They can help you, because Keller Williams now through Command has a lead generation program, lead capture program, where Facebook, which can be very effective, and they have the ads ready for you. And for each lead connect, it's like $1.73 per lead. There's actually a connection. So that's, whatever that is, $17 for 10 leads, like you talk to the people, that's pretty effective. So now it's still, the conversion rate's not going to be as high as sphere of influence, people you maybe even meet at an open house, but it is another source of business. Joe, do you want to add to, did you hear anything different?
No, I didn't totally get the part about being on realtor.com and then meeting up with an agent. So I don't know if it was answered totally what you were trying to accomplish on that.
Yeah, if it's realtor.com, realtor.com did have a platinum or premium program that's very expensive. But what it does, it allows your name to be next to your listing.
Yeah, it's like a showcase.
Yeah, the showcase, right? We 2-3 years ago, our ALC voted for us to do that as a market center, and it was divided. It went on every agent's bill, and it was $40 or $50 a month times 400. So it's expensive, okay? And after a year, they said it didn't work. It was not a good source. It was not worth the money, and so we did away with paying for that. And then the pricing was based on how many agents we had. And in our model, we spread that among them, which not just the ones that are more active or not. So. Lead generation is a much bigger subject than we have time for here. I just made a note to have another session on leads to get some of the tech experts in here so you can be more efficient and effective. Because there's a lot of promises, there's a lot of different programs out there, and it's just like it's like a CRM. Which one, people ask me all the time, which one's the best? Well, I would say right now, I'd say Command. But the best one is the one you use, whether it's Top Producer or pick one, Prep or whatever. So I think you just need to fit what your goals are with what the strategies, the tactics, and the features of any lead program might be. So we can talk more on that. Thank you for the question. Anybody else? Well, thank you for being here. We're going to do more, and we'll do probably the same subject, and we'll come back with more content for you. If you come back with more of your questions, and thank you for taking the time today. We'll see you soon.